is the start of the next podcast in association with the FG podcast. Today on the show, it is a pleasure to welcome Paige Satchell from the Wellington Phoenix women's team. Welcome, Paige. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Woohoo! Let's see if we can get this in focus. Yeah. So congratulations. You've been called up.
Yeah. No, super excited. The squad got named yesterday for the upcoming Ferns. Yeah. Oh, were you meaning called up for the podcast or calling out?
No, for the Ferns. Yeah, we're stoked for you. I mean, not that we didn't expect you to be called up, but it's always exciting.
I'm super excited. It's always a pleasure and honor to be called up. So you can never be complacent and expect anything. So every time you get the call up, it's always special. So. And
how does that happen? Like, how do you find out about it?
So we find out a little bit earlier than when it gets released. So we find out on an email. So we get sent the squad, and then not long after that, it kind of gets released out to everyone. So we have like a little bit of time to process, like who's in the team, and I guess if you're not selected, you have that time to kind of come to terms with that as well. And same with being selected. So we find out first, and then it gets released. But it's always a good moment when you do see your name on the list. Definitely will never take that for granted. So.
Yeah. What are the feelings around the Ferns right now? I mean, I know you're not together as a group yet, but you had, you went through the two matches with USA. And then, you have a kind of the more of the stalwarts coming back. I mean, how's this going to be against Portugal and Argentina?
It's really exciting. I think the squad we've got for this tour coming up is really strong. Against USA, it was a little bit different of a squad, just with it being outside of a FIFA window. So things were a little bit different than what we're used to, just with some newer faces coming in. I mean, it was a great experience, and I'm really happy some of those girls got to get a chance to play and step up. And all considering, I think the squad did really well, and I think we were super connected through the whole thing, which was really nice to see. But it's cool that we have our full squad kind of coming together for these upcoming games. Some tough competition against Argentina and Portugal, but I think that the group is in quite a good place at the moment. It'll be good to have everyone together again. It's been a little while since we've had the full squad, but I think that we'll be able to connect well like we did in January. So I think the group's really excited. I know I'm excited to kind of get back into it with everyone. So,
Jonathan, I saw the finger.
Yeah. Paige, you've been around the Fern squad for a while now. Like you've been to an Olympics, you've been around. What's happening how does this squad looking into this World Cup, given that we've had some retirements and so on? What's your feeling? Like, we've got some old faces who have gone, hey, we're done with the Ferns now. We're going to hang up our boots because we see these new ones coming through. What does that feel like, working through that transition?
Yeah, I guess I have kind of been in the mix where I've been in the squad where some of our key older players have retired from international football. But it's also been an amazing kind of year, I guess, where some younger and newer faces have stepped into the squad. And I think it's a really exciting time, especially with the World Cup coming up, that we do have some people, these young guns, like pushing for the squad, and people coming in and, they're proving themselves. It makes the environment super competitive. And I think we always need that. We need people coming in, and so people aren't getting complacent in their spots. Everyone's working, everyone's pushing week in, week out. So it's a really exciting time, although it can be hard when you lose these like key older players because they have so much experience. It's also like a really exciting time, and players bring so much energy when they come in. They just want to do their best. So it's not a bad thing when we get new players coming in. I think it just creates a whole new energy throughout the team. So it's been great to see.
So do you classify yourself as a young gun or an old hand now?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of sit in the middle a little bit. So, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm probably a young gun anymore. I've been in the squad for a little while now, so probably can't class myself as that anymore. But yeah, probably sitting in around the middle. I feel like I've had a decent run at this stage, so I definitely do have some experience behind me as well, which is nice. But then, yeah, nothing compared to the likes of Ellie Riley and things who nearly have 150 caps. But yeah, so sitting somewhere nicely in the middle, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, so tell us about Paige as a footballer. We have this signature question, who are you as a football player in 3 words?
Oh, that is a good question. I would like to say 3 words. Probably, I think energetic would be one, determined and resilient, I think would probably be 3 words that would wrap me up. Yeah, I think energy is probably a really big one for me. I think whenever I come onto the field or if I'm starting, I like to kind of be that point of difference or bring that energy that the team needs. And yeah, I guess I think of myself as a little bit of a different player sometimes, and sometimes I can do things that are creative that maybe other players wouldn't do, which kind of lifts the team up a little bit. And yeah, so I think that's how I would describe myself.
I mean, you certainly pop on the field. Jonathan, do you want to tell her the story of the girls behind us at the Flight of the Knicks? Holly, so I'll tell it. There were these young girls behind us, and we're screaming for everyone, and this group of little girls, or not little, I don't know, they were young 11-year-olds about, and they just started like cheering for you, and they didn't know who you were, and then like Holly turns around, she's like, that's Paige Satchell, and and so every time you got the ball or did something there, they learned how to say, go Paige, go Paige. It was adorable.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I love to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, you clearly, I was thinking this morning who you are like, and I couldn't think of anyone specific, although, your engine is like Heather O'Reilly, just like it keeps going and doesn't stop, though you're probably more creative than her, but just that incredible endurance and relentlessness is just an amazing signature of yours.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I've kind of figured out over the years is how I can be that point of difference, I guess. And I mean, every game I just leave everything out on the field. So yeah, I'll just keep going until I get pulled off or the final whistle goes. So
Jonathan?
So just before we move away from the Ferns stuff, I'd just like to point out the piece de resistance, the football, and here's Paige down here in this corner. So it's up on the wall in my office behind me, and so we're big fans, especially as for myself being based in Rotorua. It's nice having a home, that connection. Describe your career growing up. You started at Nongataha at 5 and then played through, went to JPC. What was football like, in those young grades and working your way through? How did you know that football was for you?
yeah, I mean, I think when I was younger, it was definitely more of just like a fun thing that I would like to do. I wasn't very good, I must say, from when I first started when I was 5. I kind of just like skipped around the field and whatnot. But I guess when I got a little bit older, probably around 9, 10, started to show a little bit of talent in how I was playing. And I think that's when I definitely started to like get into it more. And I was like, okay, this is definitely something that I love doing. And I would pretty much play it like every day at lunchtime at school. And yeah, I started out at Nongataha, would play on the weekends for them. And then I remember, I think the turning point for me, it was playing for a Ngataha team. So we went to the Kanga Cup in Australia. So I trialled for a team for Ngataha. I was the only girl that turned up for the trials. It was an all boys team. And I made that squad and we went over to Australia, and I was like, wow, this is like really cool. Like there's some really cool opportunities you can do through football. And that was just the start of it, really. I never thought I'd be where I am now, and the opportunities that I have these days are just unreal. But yeah, I guess it can be tough growing up in a smaller place like Rotorua, and yeah, it can definitely be hard to get recognised and kind of break through the system there. So, I mean, I would do everything I could when I was younger. I was in all the rep teams. I would travel to Hamilton for like the Waikato Bay Plenty squads and things like that. And still kind of couldn't break out for a little while. And I was seeing girls from Hamilton and Tauranga getting selected for the National Talent Centres. And I was like, come on, like I just needed my shot kind of thing. And yeah, I remember one day I got nominated for a trial for a National Talent Centre up in Auckland. So Dad drove me up in the camper van, as he did, drove me everywhere. To the trial, got selected for National Talent Centre, and I guess that's where it all started. Yetka, who's now the coach of the Football Ferns, she had just been appointed the under-17s job, and so she was out scouting at the National Talent Centre, which was great, and that's where it all began, really. So I took my shot when I was there. I got recognised by Yetka and got pulled into a wider camp for the under-17 squad, and from there it's really just progressed amazingly. Like I couldn't have asked for it to be any better, like gone through the ranks. Obviously it's been a lot of hard work and I was still at school when I was in the under-17 squad, so travelling up to Auckland on Thursdays after school, coming back Sunday nights on the bus, or Dad would drive me up. But yeah, so it was definitely like a big shift that you had to put in, but at the end of the day, like I don't regret anything. It was definitely worth it, and I'm definitely in the place where I wanted to be when I grew up. But yeah, going back to your question, it definitely wasn't always easy growing up in like a smaller place, but once I kind of had my mindset on what I wanted to do, there was nothing really getting in the way. I guess I just put myself out there and did everything I could so that I wouldn't regret anything. And I was just like, you know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but I would put my best foot forward and try and make it happen. Yeah.
So you've just mentioned your dad driving the camper van. How important were your mum and dad, and how important are they still for you in football?
Yeah, they were so like amazing growing up. Definitely wouldn't be where I am today without them. Yeah, like I said, Dad literally drove me everywhere. Like he had this camper van. It's pretty funny. We would drive up to Auckland and like stay at the training grounds overnight in the camper van, like wake up the next morning, rock up to training, and then drive back to Rotorua, and Dad would be making like the coach's coffee from the camper van. So it was pretty funny. And I'm pretty sure there's a photo somewhere, but it's quite a funny story. I remember one day we were trying to film like a friendly game for the under-17s, and we couldn't get like a high vantage point to film. And so I remember just warming up on the field, and then I just see Dad driving the camper van onto the field, and I was like, what is going on? What is he doing? And then he parks up, and the cameraman gets on top, and he puts on the top of the camper van and starts filming the game. And it was just pretty funny. Yeah, so that's a story that I remember, and I was definitely very embarrassed at the time before I knew what he was doing. But but no, they were crucial in getting me to where I am today. And yeah, so much support, and they definitely put a lot of time and money into funding me to get up to all the camps and things. So yeah, that was huge, and they still are my biggest fans today. And they try, like, I mean, you've seen them at the Phoenix games. They drive 6 hours to come watch and then drive back home the next day. So my biggest fans, and yeah, I really credit them to getting me to where I am today, and they're amazing.
What happened to the camper van?
Camper van's gone, but now there is a caravan. So but they usually don't bring it to games these days. But you never know; it might appear one day.
Yeah, I met them before. I think it was the Canberra game, and they were awesome. They were just so loving, so warm, so sweet. I wanted them as my parents. I was like, I love these people.
Yeah, they're
They
different.
just, yeah, there's actually a charity football match coming up here in Rotorua, and I asked your mum and dad or your dad particularly, if he'd come and play. But unfortunately, and it's at Stenbridge Road, which is where Nongataha AFC is, but unfortunately, they'll be in Wellington supporting you, Paige, so that they can't actually play that day, which might be a good excuse not to put the boots on.
Yeah, that would be definitely interesting to see how that would go in that match. But yeah, oh, that's great.
Just so how about, being from a small town? I mean, it's very Maori. How do you get more of a cross section of girls and boys playing football in New Zealand, of just different ethnicities? Sorry,
you cut out a little bit.
Okay, sorry about that. So, being from a small town, I mean, you're kind of not like, the Auckland machine or the Christchurch machine. How do you get more kids from small towns, more kids from Maori or Pacific Islander populations to get out on the pitch? I mean, how do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to have those role models, like in the Ferns, in the Phoenix, wherever you can, really. Yeah, just like it on the poster. Yeah, because I think growing up, I always used to watch the Ferns, and that was a kind of new show. That's where I wanted to be. So I think it's really important to have people in these teams who are promoting the game and from smaller towns and from all across different ethnicities. I mean, yeah, I'm Māori myself, so it's definitely, I think it's super important for younger girls to see like Māori players playing, so they can see that that's something that they can do themselves as well. And like me coming from Rotorua, like sometimes it can seem like so far away. There's such a big gap between playing in Rotorua and playing in Auckland, and you're like, how do you even close that and get to the top, So I think it's important, and I hope that even just my story can help younger girls coming from Rotorua, Māori or not, or boys and girls, that it is possible and that they can get to this point. Yeah, and I think, yeah, you do need a lot of support, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to get it without having a lot of support around me as well, but it definitely is possible. And yeah, I think now being a football Fern and a Wellington Phoenix player, I can definitely be a player that can help support this and show young girls and help inspire them that it is possible. Yeah, it's definitely important. And I think the game is growing a lot. And yeah, we're, I guess, being on this platform, we're helping to help these girls recognize this. But yeah, there's still definitely work that can go into it, I think, and helping build the grassroots up. Yeah.
So just on that page, there were two particular times. One was the first Knicks game at home, and there was a massive number of young people there, and the Knicks players were so nice and lovely and signed autographs and whole lot. And then again at both the USA game, both USA games, particularly the one in Wellington, there were literally hundreds of kids, like 12 and under, getting autographs, and you all made yourselves so available and was just so friendly and nice. And there were, we spoke to a few kids who were just walking around, and they were absolutely beaming that they got to meet you, that they got to meet Liv and Mac and so on. And those little moments and interactions, they can be so inspiring for the younger ones as well. So just wanted to acknowledge that and say we really like watching that. As a fan, it made me happy watching all these little kids just beaming like, oh my God, we got Paige Satchell's signature, or we got Ellie Riley's signature. It was just so cool.
Yeah, and I think that's super important, and that's something that I always try to do, and I know a lot of the girls as well, like after the games, we see the fans, we always go interact. We see as many people as we can. We're signing shirts, we're giving things away, because it's so important for these young girls and boys to get involved. And it makes such a difference, like for us to go and say hello and speak to them and give them a signature, like that can be so life-changing for them. And it's like the smallest gesture from us, but it's a massive thing for them. And I think that's so important. And like these kids, they're now going to go home and they're going to want to start playing football, and they're all going to get involved, and it's just getting better and better, and more people are getting involved. And yes, I'm always at the end of games, always super happy to go up to everyone and say hello. And it's really nice to see that we're getting more of a fan base as well, and actually getting people coming to the games, and they're recognizing who the football ferns are. Whereas I think in the past that's kind of been a struggle, and some people, I mean, they call us the White Ferns, and they don't actually know like what our name is, and they don't know who we are. So it's really nice that we have this women's team that's growing, and people are recognizing it, and they can aspire to be in this spot one day. So
Can I show you something funny? This is like Allie Riley's signature. It takes up like half the brim.
That's so funny.
And this little one, I think that's Yitka's signature. And it's just tiny.
That's great.
Anyway, so it's fun, and it's fun for kids, it's fun for adults, but it's really, I'm gonna grow old watching y'all. So I want to make sure that New Zealand football is fun, exciting, it's inclusive, all these things. Hey Blake, you have some questions, or you want to?
Yep. We're all good. So I myself have had quite a few surgeries because of my various ailments, and I heard recently that you had a heart procedure rather, that you had to come back quickly from. So as an athlete, how was it to have to come back from that so quickly and have the sort of, I guess, pressure of playing?
Yeah, as you said, I had heart surgery in October last year, which, it was pretty scary at the time. Like, I had the condition for quite a while, and we didn't know what it was for a long time. And then finally we kind of got some answers and decided to do the surgery. It was actually very to kind of find the right time to be able to get the surgery, because I knew I was going to be out for a few weeks at least. And with the Ferns touring pretty much every FIFA window at this point, and preseason starting for Phoenix, it was kind of I was running out of time really to be able to get the procedure done. And I ended up doing it right at the start of preseason. So I'd just come back from a tour with the Ferns, and like 2 days later I was getting the surgery. So it was like such a quick turnaround. And then so I missed the first like 2 weeks of preseason with the Phoenix because I was up in Auckland and recovering from the surgery, but ended up coming down and still kind of wasn't playing yet. But like you said, it was a really quick turnaround, because there was another Ferns, the Christchurch tour for the football Ferns coming up, which was, I think, 4 or 5 weeks post-surgery. And so I always knew it was going to be a quick turnaround. And I guess it was quite stressful, because if anything kind of went wrong, like I was super pumped to play at home. Like I really wanted to be involved in the Christchurch tour. And so I was like, okay, just do everything you can. But at the same time, you kind of have to listen to your body and make sure it's ready as well. Thankfully, the surgery went really well, and I didn't have too many complications and recovered really quickly from it, which was great. So I was able to jump back in with the Ferns and kind of did, I think, 3 or 4 training sessions before playing against South Korea, which was a pretty quick turnaround. But my body was feeling good. I was feeling strong and healthy. So I wasn't concerned about playing them. And it was great to kind of come back from that and know that my body can recover so quickly, and it's so versatile, and I can go out and play Korea like 4 weeks post heart surgery. So it was pretty crazy, but it can be, little bit scary and crazy at the same time. But yeah, so glad that I did get the surgery done. It's definitely for the long run, like it's going to help me so much. And now that's done, I don't have to, well, hopefully don't have to worry about that again. But yeah, I guess there are some pressures when you're in this kind of environment to get back playing, but I have a lot of support, like with the Ferns and with the Phoenix as well, and I had all the right people around me, a lot of people checking in and make sure everything was going well. So that really helped me as well to kind of come back so quickly, which was great.
And then just one more question before we go to a commercial, and then we're going to ask you some wind down questions after that. So how does your time in facilities wise with the new facility that the Phoenix are lucky enough to have, how does that compare for you in terms of your environment at Sydney and your environment in the Bundesliga and stuff like that? How does it all compare? How do the different environments compare, really?
And also, what's your favorite part of NZCIS?
So the facilities here, have you guys seen them? Have you been around?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, they're amazing. Like, this is like the real deal. Like, at my previous clubs, I've not been at a facility that is so advanced and as this one. Like, when I first I'd seen some photos and things before I arrived to Wellington of the gym and everything. But when I got here, like, it blew my mind, like the amount of equipment. Like, we've got everything we could ever need at this facility. We've got the recovery room with saunas, ice baths, like there's underwater treadmills, there's everything. So this is definitely by far the best facility that I've been at. And it's really refreshing because I guess, yeah, growing up, you've kind of been at a lot of different places and you haven't always had the right equipment you needed to kind of be at your best, but definitely here, we've got everything. So it's definitely helped us recover and get stronger and be in our best shape for both Ferns and for Phoenix. So it's amazing. I mean, every club's going to be different and have different amounts of money and things like that. But yeah, I think by far this is definitely the best facility I've been at. And so I'm super stoked that I was able to use this throughout the season. It's been amazing. Yeah, we're pretty much there every day. So it's great. And we, make the most of it for sure. So, yeah, it's amazing. Oh, and
so do you all in like the on the bikes, like in that big massive room, there's all those bikes. Do you all like turn the disco lights on and get into it, or is that just the goalkeepers?
Yeah, so we've been in there a few times. So I actually don't like going in that room because that's the heat room. So we go on the bikes and they put the heat on and we have to cycle on there and do like intervals and things. So that's probably my least favorite room at NZCS because it's just so hard, but it's great, like having that available to us, like especially playing in Australia where it's so hot. It helps us to prepare for the heat and stuff as well, although it sucks at the time because it's such a hard workout, but it's definitely pays off us kind of being able to climatize and but no, it's great. Like, I kind of forgot about that room for a second until you mentioned it, but there's literally everything we need is at this facility. So it's amazing. And like the fields and stuff, we can pretty much have every team because we're sharing the facility with the Phoenix men, the Hurricanes men and women. We could probably all be in the gym at the same time or out on the field at the same time, and it would accommodate for everyone. So it's amazing. And we're definitely thankful that we are able to train at such a great facility. And
So
Go for it, Blake.
So we will be back to talk to Paige for the final part of the interview right after this. Do you want to find the BFC podcast on all your favorite audio platforms? Then all you have to do is search BFG podcast on any of your favorite audio platforms. That's BFG podcast on any of your favorite audio platforms. Now back to the video. And we are back with Paige to talk about the final questions that we have for her. So, Denise, do you want to do our wind down for us?
Yeah, I mean, we have some fun questions, but I actually have the kind of semi-interesting, serious-y kind of question. Who's your role model? Like, if you were looking at female footballers across the world, or maybe not role models, but who are you cheering for? Who do you like to watch? And, you know.
Yeah. Growing up, it's probably changed a little bit now, but growing up, the football Ferns were definitely the team that I would watch a lot. And growing up, it was always Rosie White, actually. I guess maybe she was in my position and kind of a little bit of a similar player to me, I guess. And so she was always someone that really inspired me growing up. And I remember one day when I was at my first National Talent Centre camp in Auckland, the football friends came and they did like a training session we got to watch. And I remember going up to them at the end, and Rosie White actually signed my training shirt, and I was stoked. And I probably still have it at home somewhere. But I remember being so happy because she was someone I'd always looked up to growing up, and I just thought she was so cool and so amazing. And kind of like what we were talking about earlier when you said it was great to see the Ferns going and signing people's shirts and talking to them after, like thinking back how excited I was when I got Rosie White's signature. It's amazing to see that that's how people are feeling when I go talk to them, things like that now. But I guess these days, there's just so many inspirational athletes, women and men alike out there, who are just changing the game. And so it's amazing to see, I think like Rapinoe, they're being advocates for getting equal pay for the US national team, which is amazing to see people standing up and knowing what we're worth and that we should be getting more for the efforts that we put in to our work. So I think she's amazing. And the likes of New Zealand athletes, I think people like Ruby Tui and Lisa Carrington are amazing athletes, and you can just see how genuine they are on and off the camera and on the field, off the field. I think they are changing the game as well. And I think, they're growing women's sport in New Zealand and making people engage, which is amazing to see. So I think those are some of the people that are really inspiring, and it's great to see them seeing them more and more on the TV. And I just loved watching the Rugby World Cup in New Zealand and seeing Ruby Tui singing Tu Te Mana Iwi on the TV after the game. Like, it was just amazing to see, and I think she's such a great character. So
another just semi-serious question from me. So Phoenix women, before Christmas, we were average. We were trucking along. Everyone was still trying to find their place and gel. After Christmas, the teams come out with a new mindset, a new approach to the game. We beat Canberra 5-0. We draw 3-3 against Brisbane with 10 players. What's the feeling in the team now? As fans, we're excited. We're like, yes, we're playing. We can't wait to see this game. What's it like being on the inside as a player, as a part of that?
Yeah, it's great. As you said, we were kind of still finding our feet a little bit before Christmas. I think we were still having some good patches of play in different games, but it was more about getting the consistency throughout the whole 90 minutes. And we would always kind of start the first half off really well, and then the second half would die down a bit, and that's where we would lose it a little bit. So it was pretty frustrating at the time, I think. Yeah, because we knew we could hold our own and we could perform, but we just weren't able to kind of do it for the full 90. So I'm not exactly sure what changed. I think, we had a few kind of team bonding things with the group before and after Christmas. So I think we're definitely more connected as a group now. So maybe that's what's kind of helped us change how we're playing. But it's amazing to see how just winning one game against Canberra has kind of shifted our momentum. And we always knew we could do it. It was definitely coming. So it was a matter of time that we were going to get our first win. But yeah, to get the first one being 5-0, it was pretty insane. And the girls were pretty ecstatic after the game. But yeah, momentum's definitely growing. And I think it's just built our confidence a lot now. So we know we can put on these performances. And so, yeah, it's just really exciting to go into the next round. Like, we're in the second half of the season now. So I think we all know that we need to step it up if we want to do better than last season, and we want to reach some of our goals of the season. So I think everyone's kind of had that shift in mentality, like, okay, now we're down to the wire now, so we definitely have to step it up and start performing. So it's great to see, and I think, yeah, people have been pushing each other in trainings, and people are definitely fighting for spots, which is great to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next half of the season, and we're trying to shake things up, and yeah, watch out, everyone.
So in a over, say, 40 yards, who's quicker, you or Mickey Robertson?
I don't know.
I read somewhere that you were a pretty classy athletics, back in the day. So, and Mickey's pretty quick.
Yeah, she's very quick as well. Yeah, we haven't actually done like a proper race, I guess, but yeah, I'm not too sure. We'll have to see. But yeah, I did have a little stint in athletics back in the day. But yeah, she's also very quick and great little player. She is, yeah.
Denise.
Oh, Blake, do you have anything else, or should we wind down this freight train?
We'll just wind down the freight train, I think. So
usually we're silly at the end, but you're very poised with your answers, so
so
we'd like
to see us on both the Flight of the Nick YouTube channel and the BFG Podcast YouTube channel. If you want more variety, there's the BFG for you. If you want more football, there is a Flight of the Knicks. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at all of our social for the Relevant Podcast. And you can catch us on all audio platforms for the podcast as well. So don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and we'll see you on the next one.